to another doctor, and that doctor took off right where he had left off. That doctor was prescribing a drug called Subsys, and I may be mispronouncing it. I'm not a doctor. And that Subsys is a fentanyl-based inhalant. It's a spray used for cancer patients who are in the most pain. In a 5-year period, he prescribed over almost 1,300 prescriptions for that single drug in 5 years. The next closest doctor in the United States had prescribed in 5 years 203 prescriptions. 1,300, 203. When we arrested him, that drug company's stocks went down 20%. So this is the sort of work that we are doing, trying to get these folks. And I would just close, because I know we have an anxious group of youth here ready to talk, ready to perform, and I don't want to slow them down. But I mentioned our Southeast Michigan Trafficking and Exploitation Crimes Task Force. I mentioned we're very, very proud of it. And 2018, unfortunately, is off to a bang. That means, I want to say we have very, very high stats because we have a very, very good team. We have a team consisting of a supervisor, 5 agents, 5 full-time task force officers, and 20 part-time task force officers. They come from the FBI, Michigan State Police, Detroit Police Department, Canton, Huron Township, Roseville, Highland Park, Southfield, Livonia, and that's just a few. They're working this with us. In 2015, just to give you a comparative, we had, this is related to children, many children and adults being trafficked sexually. We had in 2015, 261 arrests, 94 child victims recovered, 102 cases. In 2017, we had slightly fewer arrests, 247, but we recovered 191 juveniles last year. That contributed. We had 127 federal cases, and then we've indicted over 91 traffickers out there. And I will say, year to date, 2018, our year begins in October, we already have 143 arrests this year, and we have 62 juveniles rescued. So the opioid crisis is certainly a significant challenge. There's a lot of challenges in our community to children, as I mentioned, that aren't opioid related. Many of you will remember, and it was a stark message to me when I was newer here, a 12 or 13-year-old child. You may remember on the news, he picked up some cash that had been dropped in a liquor store parking lot. You remember that case? That young man's crime was picking up, like I would have when I was 12 or 13 years old. If I found a few bucks on the pavement, I might have picked it up. But the man who had dropped it came over, took him captive, murdered that young man. And I would just close. One thing we need from all of you, and you by being here tonight, I know you're already motivated to help. But on that particular evening, when he was taken, there were people in the store, there were people in the parking lot. As the man took that young child away, gunshots rang out. People heard gunshots, and no one called the police, as I understand it. That subject returned afterwards, and I'm afraid to say the child was probably already dead. We found them the next day. That man returned to the liquor store. I think it was a liquor store. Someone may correct me if I'm wrong. But it was a liquor store. He went in with a gun. He was waving a gun. And I saw it on video, and I asked a Detroit police officer. I was in the command post. We had probably 30 to 50 agents that night trying to find that young man, right? And I saw this video, and I said, that strikes me as very odd behavior. If I committed a crime like that, I'd want to get out of Dodge. They said, it's not odd at all. He's going in there and saying, this is my corner. This is my area. You get me my money back, or I'm going to hurt somebody in here. Do you think anyone called the police in there? So it wasn't until I think, and he was with a cousin, and I'm not faulting a young child who's scared to death probably, but he was with a cousin, and that cousin I don't think told appropriate adults, and it was when his mom called, I think, late at night saying, my son hasn't come home. We had an incredible response to that crime. We worked all night, we tried to find that child, but the problem was it was hours too late. So when these things happen, We ask that you have enough trust in the FBI and your law enforcement partners to give us a call as soon as possible, because our children are increasingly victimized. Thank you very much.